Okay, so I've made a start on the Revell Globemaster III. Been out for a few years now. Fairly nice kit. Not there's a few minor issues with it, but nothing too serious. Anyway, I started it earlier on today. What I've done is I've done stuff like started putting things like the wings and tailplanes together. Started with minor assemblies like the engines and things like that, and I'll put the main flight deck and the interior together. I've cut away the parts, so I'm intending to do this one with the ramp down. So we've reached the stage where I want to start getting the interior painted, or at least take the first steps. So it's the interior of the C-17 is a mixture of kind of light greys, and there's some large areas of natural, well, not natural metal, but an aluminium paint, I think it is. Anyway, for the base colour, I've decided to use, you can't see that, can you? That's, hope you can see that, that's Sky Grey, Tamiya Sky Grey XF19. It's close enough. Anyway, got my airbrush out here, so I'm just going to chuck some of this paint in here and add some thinner. I'm using cellulose thinner for this. It's just a personal preference of mine. You can use alcohol and things like that, but generally I use either Mr. Colour levelling thinner for fine work, or just straight cellulose thinner for the more general work. So I know that the interior on this, almost the entire interior, as you can see, is has got a liner in it. So I know that we do that, then I don't know if that shows up, but you can see exactly the areas that I need to cover of the actual fuselage halves compared to the liner. So if I repeat that on this side, okay, and then with that done, I know that I can now just start You don't need to be too, I'm not being too careful about this. Just get it in and get it covered, really. Okay, and then we move on to both of the liners, the interior liners here. So this is acting as a primer coat for the areas that have to be painted sort of silver aluminium colour. So some areas, these areas down here, have to remain the grey colour, but the main structure inside the fuselage is a metal colour. So I'm just applying this as a general primer. The thing with using the cellulose thinner is that it does bite the plastic, so there's no pooling or sort of doesn't form into droplets or anything on the surface, which it can do using sort of alcohol or water or anything on there with acrylics, so it helps us to bite the plastic and go down well. So that goes in like that, and we got the cargo deck here. So again, I've already used that cupful, so some more of that in there. Back flush it to mix it. So what we'll do when this is dry is we'll look, there might be some other areas that need to be darker greys, so we'll mask and spray them, or there might be some other detail, give it some washes and stuff like that. The next thing is letting this dry, and then I'll mask out the areas that need to be metal and spray those as well. There is an interior part to the wing box, which I'll just try and find. Okay, and if we look at the instructions, you can see that the wing box locates in the top of these two parts here. In that orientation. So what I'll do is I'm just going to prime the inside of the wing box as well. Whilst I've got the paintbrush, I've got the airbrush loaded. And so that is basically that first part done. I'm just looking for the actual cargo ramp itself. Wait, well, there it is. So I know that there was a little bit of burr there. So I'm just going to polish and sand out. Okay. We'll polish that out, and then with that polished, I'm also just going to give this a quick blast over. with the Tamiya XF19. We're applying a good liberal coat of the XF19 just to make sure that everything's covered, and it gives a good basis for further weathering. So anyway, that's the interior of these done. I'll clean the airbrush, we'll let that dry, and then we'll mask off for further paint to be done. So I'll see you soon. Okay, so with the XF19 dried, what I've done is I've referred to the painting scheme in the instructions here, and it tells you that these areas of the interior are metal. I've been into a C-17 a few years ago, and it was one thing that struck me was this kind of silver metal colour of the interior. So in order to do that, I've masked off the areas that need to remain grey, and for the actual colour I'm going to use Tamiya's AS12 bare metal silver, which is going to be close enough, and it will take seconds to do this. So I've given this a good shake, okay, and then it's just giving the interior a quick coat. I'm not too worried about it being all that shiny. In fact, the fact that I've got a matte grey sort of primer on there helps to dull it down a little bit. So as you can see, how quickly you can paint the interior. So that's those interior parts basically done now. You can see that took 25-30 seconds or so. The AS12, the bare metal silver, is a great colour for natural metal schemes. If you decant it into your airbrush first and then thin it slightly to spray it, you can get an incredibly good natural metal finish. But for this finish, that little spray job using the neat stuff straight from the can is more than adequate. So that will dry in a few minutes, but I'm going to remove the masking right now. And there you go. So that's the base paintwork for the interior done. So what comes next is there'll be various sort of washes, picking out detail. There's the actuating rams for the rear ramp who need gluing in, and then we can move on with construction. But as you can see, this all goes together really quite well. That all gets trapped. Like so, and then they'll get the interior will get placed into the fuselage. But anyway, that was just covering how quickly you can actually get painting done if you use rattle cans, spray cans and stuff. So the interior, this part of the interior here, it's actually really quite flat, and it's flatter than I'd like it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give the grey parts of the interior, which are really very flat, a quick coat of Johnson's Clear just to give it, I don't want a glossy finish, but I just want to take the edge off of the dead flat. So I'm just using a bit of isopropanol here, okay, just which is just alcohol really, just to clean my brush, just to make sure my brush is clear of any cellulose or anything. So I'm just going to put a bit in, right, not that much. Just going to turn the MAC valve down on my airbrush now, and that's fine. So just catching, giving it a quick, reasonably wet coat. While we're about it, we'll give the rear ramp a coat as well. I'm not too worried about the silver areas of this. That's going to take a wash and some detail work quite fine, but I want the grey areas to have a bit of a gloss. The actual Tamiya came out not nearly as smooth as I'd expected. I was expecting a little bit more of an eggshell finish, but what I got was something that was dead flat. So for the sake of a few seconds work with my airbrush, and that's basically it. That's all I wanted to do. So just put the lid back on the Clear, clean my airbrush, and so I'll let all that set, and then we can start adding some washes and perhaps picking out some of the detail work. So I'll see you when we return for that. Okay, so with this interior painted and a quick coat of Clear has been allowed to dry, one of the things the kit includes is this decal here, which lies across the floor of the cargo bay, like this, represents the kind of non-skid sort of areas and that kind of thing. So this needs to be applied. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it over a good heavy coat of Johnson's Clear. So I'm just looking for a big enough brush, and I think that brush is going to be plenty big enough, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a quick coat of Johnson's Clear over it, slide the decal into place, correct it, and then as the Clear dries, I'll overcoat it. As the Clear dries, it'll suck the decal down into all the detail. So all I've got is a little jar of a little cup of hot water here, so I'm just going to stick the decal in like so. Give it a few seconds. Take the decal out, and I'm just going to leave it until it moves on the give it another little soak. It's a big old decal, so it might take a few moments to actually come loose. Okay, so let's have another look. So it's been remarkably, it's starting to come loose now. So just need to make sure it's sliding freely on the backing sheet, because what you don't want to do is stretch or distort the decal at all. So that's pretty much worked it loose. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the trademark decals and stuff, so that we don't get them. Okay, you can probably see that's moving quite nicely. So what I'll do is, as I previously mentioned, I'm just going to give this a really good coat of clear. And with that done, I'm going to slide the decal into place. So hopefully you can see that. That was really easy. Well, it does take. So now it's important to be able to manipulate this decal to get it centrally located. And lined up. That was actually a lot less stressful than I anticipated it being. So actually, you could probably do with moving a millimetre or two this way. So that's all lined up now. Okay, so I'm just going to you see, and that's what you don't want to happen. So that was completely and utterly my fault. So we're just going to have to tease this decal now. Into place again, like so. So like I say, I moved that decal then, and it was completely my fault. So the clear isn't dry yet, so we can still move this decal around a little bit. It's not too problematic if it isn't lined up millimetre perfect. Although I'm going to have the ramp open on this model, all this is up the back. So unless you're holding the model up that way and looking straight down, it's not going to be too much of a problem. And even then, it's going to look, the effect is going to be fine. So I've got that decal where I want it now, and I'm just going to give it another overcoat of clear. Don't be too shy with the clear, get a good coat on there. Beautifully printed decal, very fine detail on it. So and that is the cargo bay floor done. So I'll put the lid back on the clear. Give them a brush of wash out. Okay, and that's that done. So there's also a small, there's also a decal right here to go on the rear ramp, which again I will do at the completion when I've actually painted the exterior of the ramp as well. So just leave that dry. It's wrinkling up a little bit, but that will all settle down. as it dries. And then tomorrow we can start looking, adding some washes and maybe a little bit of weathering to that interior, and also painting the detail around the cockpit area. Although bear in mind this is 144th scale. You can see the size of that, it's not terribly large, so I'm not too stressed about preserving all of that detail. But you can see the interior now. I've painted it. You can see the dual colour. Obviously this panel detail, this line, the join line over here, as you can see, it's going to be visible on the model. Again, it's the same, my overall view of this is the same as it is with the rest of the interior. It's going to be hidden up underneath here, and to be fair, a good proportion of the visible area of the roof will be hidden by that ramp there. So you've got this ramp here, and you've got this small area here that's really going to be visible. I may look at doing something with it, or I might leave it. Again, it's going to be one of those ones where you've actually got to pick the model up and literally look down there to see that. So anyway, that's the first decal applied to the model, which is a part of the interior, and we'll continue with building tomorrow.